Hey guys, it's Dan from Team Mambo here, and we're joined by Olan, who's going to show us how to play Necroz in 2019.
Hey guys. Okay, so Necroz in 2019, you're doing a turn one combo deck. Essentially what you want to do is you want to go into Vanity's Ruler and you're just trying to lock out your opponent by turboing to Vanity's Ruler. I've done a bit of maths on the deck and I think the deck is pretty consistent as it is. As far as I'm aware, I haven't looked at the numbers recently with the new changes, but you're going into Vanity's Ruler about 80% of your turn one hands. So going into the profile.
Cool, see the list?
So one Trish, you only play one because he's kind of bricky in hand. He does open up some ways to combo if you're really stuck, but you only really want to play one. Like going second, obviously he's amazing, it's Trish, but you don't want to see multiples of them, and he's searchable anyway. You're one of Yugioh, the best card in the deck, far and away the best monster. Like getting Kaleido with Yugioh, it's just amazing. Like sending your Herald, just get any card in your deck is really good. His on-field effect also amazing. Like skill draining your opponent's extra deck cards, even if you can't go into Vanity, sometimes just gets you there. And also his recursion effect from Grave can also be quite relevant. Tree Brio. Brio just search any Necroz monster. I don't see why you wouldn't play 3. You just want to thin your deck as much as possible and you want to be as consistent as possible. The main combo in the deck also involves just having a Brio in hand. And you need Brio to combo. You need a Brio and Grave to combo anyway. So you always have to play 3. His on-field effect as well is also incredible versus decks like Salad. A lot of the time once you bait Salad's negates, they just get fucked by Brio. And you play 2 Claws. Claws is pretty good. It searches your fields, or it searches your ritual spells, but you don't want to play 3 because it gets a bit cloggy. Like you can only use it once per turn, so you never want to see more than one of it. Like you can search it with like half your deck, so like if you ever need it, you're fine. And you also play one of Rhoda, so it's essentially triple claws. Also on board, he's not terrible either. Like the targetable skill drain and making the attack 0 can actually be quite relevant versus the right decks. So he's not the worst, but you don't want to play more than 3 or more than 2. And then triple Valk. So Valk is one of the more cuttable cards. In this current version, I'm playing 3. It really depends on the meta in your locals or whatever meta you're going for if you're going to try and play it at a regional. His protection from battle effect is quite relevant, so a lot of decks, when they are trying to out your Vanity's Ruler, will spend a lot of resources, maybe try and negate his effect, and then try and run him over. There's also random decks like Lost World, Dinos and stuff can just out your Vanity's Ruler by playing Lost World and then summoning the 2k guy and beating over. This protects you from that, so I think he's one of the better ones to finish with in hand if you have your Vanities. So that's it for the Necroz monsters, the Necroz ritual monsters. And then for Impantations, you're playing 2 of each, so 2 Mandra, 2 Book, 2 Doll, and 2 Pencil. So this is a pretty standard ratio I've seen people play. It makes sense. You don't want to. You can only use one effect of them per turn, and you just don't want to see more than one of each really. You do always want to see at least one is the problem. So it just depends on your hand which one you want to see. I've seen people cut one Bookstone just to make a smaller incantation engine, so you're not seeing multiples, but I don't see the reasoning behind that. You actually want to see these 3 are the ones you want to see in your opening hand just to get you to your Mandra. So I don't see why you would ever just cut a Bookstone just to try and reduce your engine when you're seeing Mandra less because of it.
What about cutting a copy of Mandra then? If all of your guys you want to see in your hand to get you to Mandra, what about playing one copy of Mandra?
So after turn 1, you always want to have the extra Mandra. Like the ritual monsters that you do have in deck are super important. Like if you think about it, Mandra gets Brio, which gets every other card in your deck, like every other relevant card. So cutting a Mandra is probably not what you want to do. There's a lot of reasons. Like mainly it's just after turn 1, the next monster you're always going to want to be summoning is another Mandra. Like Pencil and stuff is fine to get, but you're always going to try and get a Mandra to go into like Trish or something like that.
Okay.
You do use one in the combo, but you're going to want to have an extra one for the turns after, because if your opponent doesn't scoop and you do have to play it out, you're going to want the extra Mandra. One Chalice Slime. So this is pretty controversial. Depending on what my meta is looking like, I will put extra Chalice Slimes in. The main thing being, you don't want to open multiple Chalice Slime ever really, because you're only able to use this effect once per turn. You'll see this throughout the deck profile. There's a lot of 2-ofs and 1-ofs, just to try and reduce the amount of dead cards you have in your hand as possible. Because you want to be comboing as consistently as possible. So I know Chalice Slime does open up your combos, but I think the increase in combo potential just for adding one Chalice Slime, it's just kind of diminishing returns. When you're already at an 80% combo rate, I don't think adding an extra Chalice Slime is worth it for like an extra 1 or 2% of comboing versus the amount of times you will brick with it. Because if you do brick and you can't do anything, you will just lose off the bat in this format. One of Shurith. He's recently come back to 3, but there's no point in playing any more than 1. He doesn't help you combo except for like one very specific combo with Valk. But you never want to see more than 1 of him. You're also playing Rhoda and Brio if you do need it. He's only relevant past turn 1. When you're going, like if you're going second, he's good, but you never want to play, you never want to see like him really in your opening hand. If you ever need him, you'll search him. And then your big boys, Vanity's Ruler and Ben 10. So Vanity's Ruler this is what you're comboing into constantly. It just shuts off so many decks. You'll find that a lot of decks just don't have any answers to him. And if they do, they're spending a lot of resources just to try and out him. Also, when you do combo, most of the time Ruler is your 5th summon. So he's protecting you versus being Nibiru'd as well. So he's just fantastic. And then Ben 10, you just have to play Ben 10 to get the Ruler. There's no way around it. Wish I couldn't play Ben 10, or wish I didn't have to, but there's no way you can do that. And then spells, 2 Mirror, 2 Cycle, 2 Kaleido. So it's pretty standard-ish ratio. Like I've seen people cut one of these, or like cut one of the 2 of them and only play 5. But I think you do need to play 6 because you need them to combo first off, and they all just have their uses. Like half of your incantations turn off if you don't open with the Nekroz spell or any ritual spell. So you do need to play 6 of these, I feel. Because most of the time you can use any of them to combo with. Obviously Kaleidoscope is the one you want to see the most, because Kaleidoscope sending Herald is just one way to get into Ben 10. And I'll explain later kind of how important like getting to Ben 10 is. Like this is just, you need this. This is part of the combo, so you need to be seeing this. This doesn't have too much uses within the combo, but after turn 1, or if you're going second, this becomes a lot more relevant. If you're banished, most of the time you'll find yourself banishing like a Brio and a Claws to summon Trish, because you just don't have enough resources. This becomes a lot better like the lower resources you have. So I think playing 2 of each is fine. And then triple prep. No explanation really. Like this card is just an advantage engine. Like most of the time it's a +2. Searches any of your cards. Like deck thins, gets you to combo. Searches Ben 10, which is probably the most important part. Triple Pot of Extravagance. Don't have one right now. Because your incantations lock you out of your extra deck, most of the time your extra deck doesn't really matter. So just banishing cards from your extra deck means very little to you. The odds of you banishing Triple Herald, which is the only one you need really, when you're banishing 6 is so low that like it doesn't really matter. The only other card like the not drawing shuts off is your Valk, but people don't cheat with that. One Rhoda, Rhoda either gets you Shirt or Claws. It's just a flex spot. Like, I play it instead of the third Claws just because it helps you. Like, if you do need Shirt, you can get it. And it's like more deck thinning, really, to be honest. One Inception, and you kind of need to play one Inception if you're playing Chalice Slime. Like, the combo with Chalice Slime is just too good not to play. It also helps you just summon Nekroz ritual monsters when you end up with a lot of incantation monsters on board. Since it doesn't need the exact levels, it like makes it a lot easier to summon some of your more harder to summon guys. Triple Call by the Grave. So you need to play Triple Call by the Grave. I was even at one stage playing Triple Call by and Triple Gamma with the Gamma engine. Just because, like, if you get ashed at the right time, like this deck does just lose. If you do your combo and your opponent ashes you when you play, when you're searching for vanities, you pretty much, like, you're in a pretty bad spot. You're finishing with 2 incantations and Brio, and sometimes Unicore. So if you're comboing without using Unicore, you lose. Like, there's no way you're gaining any advantage from that. So this is like so staple. Also, if your opponent for some reason is playing like Droll or any other like stupid hand trap like that, you're gonna want to stop that. And then the last flex spot is Extra Foolish Burial. So this is cuttable as well. I like it just because you can fix your extra deck around having it and making it a very good flex card. You don't want to see more than one just because paying half your life and only being able to activate one means like seeing more than one sucks. It's like not even necessary, but like sometimes it is just an extra name that says you can combo. So if you use this and Herald, it turns into like half of your deck. You can also use it to send Entis to just pop random floodgates. And you can also, I'm also playing one Toad just to get any Necroz ritual monster back from the grave if for some reason you want to do that. So that's the main deck, 40 cards. Obviously you don't want to be playing any more than 40 because you want to increase your chances of comboing as much as possible. And then for extra deck, so as explained earlier, like the extra deck isn't super important since you're going into incantations a lot. So a lot of these are kaleidoscope targets, and then cards that you will summon not a whole lot of time. So you play 2 level 12s. It's probably better to play the Blackwing Synchro since it's generic, but you don't play any tuners in this build. So unless your like opponent is like creature swapping you into a tuner, you're never going to be able to make them, so it doesn't matter all that much. 2 Star Eater. So you use this for Valken Unicore, and you're using this for Valken Claws. Both of those are just not bad plays really a lot of the time. Sometimes going second you just need to do it. And like finishing on Claws is terrible, so you play 2 of that. And you're playing 2 Orbs as well just because Extravagance could banish one, and I'd rather have the extra one rather than have like a random 1 of Link that I'm probably never going to make. 1 Leo. Leo is a lot harder to make, so you only play him at 1. The main Kaleidoscope targets, Triple Herald. Use Kaleidoscope to summon Unicore, and like this card also again turns into any card in your deck. You can actually make Unicore in the middle of your combo a lot, and this just fixes that. Like it's one of your ways that you get to Ben 10. So you need to play the 3 obviously. 1 Entis, as I mentioned earlier, just to turn Unicore or your Extra Foolish Burial into pop if you need be. The 1 of Toad, again, Extra Foolish, like that's the only reason Toad is in here. Sometimes you're using Extra Foolish Burial to send Toad to get your Unicore back to your hand because Unicore is just your playmaker. And then for cards that sometimes you'll make, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, just outs like stupid floodgates like Imperial Order and stuff. You don't make it a whole bunch of times, but when you do, like you'll be glad you had it. 2 Entis, I don't know where I put my second one, or not Entis, Neftis. Don't know where I put my second one. So in certain matchups, Vanity's Ruler doesn't get you there. This is your like go-to card when you can't make Vanity's Ruler, or when a deck isn't outed by, or doesn't get fucked by Vanity's Ruler. So in the past it was mainly Sky Striker because they'll just Widow Anchor your Vanity's Ruler and keep playing. But with Widow Anchor at 1, I don't know how important Sky Striker will be of a matchup. But when this turns into a towers, like Striker have very little answers. They can make like their typical towers answers, like Ningersu. That's the only out that they have, and it's like a 48 beat stick if you make it properly. Like, it's pretty hard to out. And then 2 rank 4s, so Excited Knight, just because this deck runs doesn't do a whole lot of card advantage generation after turn 1. So when you do go into this, you'll be happy. You can't make it with what's in the main, same with Cowboy. You can't make these two with what's in the main, but I side at least one Dance Princess, just for random like shit locals matchups where like you don't want your shit being targeted. I'd also always side a Dance Princess in game 3, just because you can make Cowboy. If you're seeing that there's not a whole bunch of time left on the round, you're going to want to side in Dance Princess because she's searchable off most of your cards, like your Brio and stuff. And you can use her and Unicorn to make Cowboy. And this is your only way of dealing damage in main phase 1.
Cool. Well, thanks for the main deck. Join us in the next video to see how to do the Necroz combos.
Thanks.